guys, welcome to my channel. Thank you so much for coming back. Today's video is going to be about whether or not to get your SDNA or CNA or PCA before you become a nurse. So all of those letters just stand for, I guess, patient care assistant. Different states call it different, but I've gotten a lot of messages from you guys asking me if it was better to become a SDNA before becoming a nurse. So that is what I'm going to be answering today. So if you want to know all about this topic, please stay tuned. Okay guys, welcome back to my channel. First of all, before we get into the video, I want to say thank you guys so much for everything you do for me. First of all, we just hit 20K and I literally just celebrated this on Instagram, and that's why I tell you guys to follow me on Instagram, because it's easier for me to put stuff on there versus shooting a video. So I actually celebrated my 20K subscribers a few days ago on Instagram and Facebook, but today would be the first time that you guys are hearing about it. I just want to say thank you guys so much for getting me to 20K. I could go into a long speech about this, but I don't want to waste you guys' time. I just want you guys to know that I appreciate you guys so much. And for those of you who are new to my channel, I'd like to say welcome. Thank you so much for joining my family. Okay, with all that being said, let's get into the video. So as I said before, today's video is going to be about whether or not you should get your SDNA before becoming a nurse. So I think I've made a video about this before. I may have said something a little different, but my position on this topic stays the same. I think that it is beneficial to become a patient care assistant or something pertaining to patient care. Why is that? Because I have a few friends who have gone through nursing school who have absolutely no nursing background. I was one of those people. Before I became a nurse, I had absolutely no nursing background. I had no family members or no close friends or anybody that was a nurse at the time. So I went through almost the entire LPN program, because at the time I thought LPN was the only thing I wanted to get. So I went through almost the entire LPN program before, I think it was a professor that told me that it would be better if I got a job as a PCA or something at the hospital. But at the time I was afraid to go to the hospital, so I became a home health aide. And that is how I got my patient care experience. So it's not the same as working in the hospital, because as you know, at the hospital you're going to get a lot of experience, especially depending on the floor you work. If you work med surg, you're going to see any and everything. But if you work on a specialty unit, you're going to learn about those kind of patients. So for example, if you work on a pediatric unit, you're going to know a lot more about kids. If you work on a mother-baby unit, you're going to know more about mother and baby. So this is very important, because even though you go through nursing school and you go through clinical, and that's supposed to be your practice, but I feel like clinical is very controlled. So you have your other peers, you have your professor, you have your other nurses working on the floor. You almost have to ask before you do anything, and you have to be washed to do anything. But working as a PCA, that is your job, that is your responsibility. You become more familiar with patients, and you become more comfortable with taking care of patients. So I think that it is better to get a job that is going to prepare you for the profession that you're going into. As for me, when I became a home health aide, I didn't know anything about nursing. Even the simplest medication I didn't know anything about. So it was kind of hard for me at first. I didn't really know how to take care of patients that well. I didn't know how to interact with patients. But lucky for me, the house I was working in, I was taking care of the lady who was my patient and her 2 kids as well. So I was taking care of 3 people at the same time. And I feel like that gave me a lot of experience. Even though I wasn't the nurse, but I was doing more of a hands-on, one-on-one patient care for those patients. And that gave me the experience that I needed. And then some of my classmates at the time who were patient care assistants at hospitals or nursing homes or rehab facilities, I noticed that when we would go to clinicals, they would be more comfortable with patients. They would be more comfortable talking to patients, touching patients, and interacting with patients versus the other students who didn't have any background in nursing or didn't have any SDNA experience at all. So I'm sorry I'm saying these different letters, but as I said before, they all mean the exact same thing. It just means that you're a patient care assistant, I guess. You're not a nurse, but you're working with patients and caring for them. Another reason I think that it is very beneficial to become a patient care assistant, especially in the hospital, you're gonna see what the nurses do. You're gonna get to interact with nurses and doctors. Sometimes the nurses are gonna give you messages to tell the patient, or sometimes they're gonna delegate some patient care activities to you. And then sometimes you might meet up with a doctor in the hallway and he might give you a message for the nurse. Or sometimes you may ask a nurse a question, you know, why are you doing this, or why are you doing that? Or sometimes you may get to watch certain nurses do certain skills. So that also kind of opens your eyes as to what to expect when you become a nurse. And that is also beneficial because, again, you are going to be in the groove of things. So getting your first nursing job as a new grad is not going to be the first time you ever saw a patient or ever see a certain procedure being done. I remember one time when I was working as a nurse, we had a code. And it was early in the morning. It was at the beginning of the shift. So everybody went running. And any of you who work in the hospital, any of you nurses out there knows that when there's a code, everybody goes. The doctors, the PCA, the nurses, the respiratory people, just everybody goes running. And I remember for this particular code, there were more PCAs that got there before a lot of the nurses and doctors. So right away, one of the PCA, who was a guy, he started to do CPR because they are trained to do CPR. So he started to do CPR, and then all the other nurses came, and then some male nurses, some doctors, everybody came, and they started to rotate. So everybody was doing CPR, and at that point you couldn't tell who was the nurse, who was the PCA. You couldn't tell who was anything. Everybody just knew what to do. So that again is very important because at the time that was my very first code as a nurse. So I had never really been a part of it except for when I was at clinical. So that to me was really great, especially for those PCAs, because I think 2 of them were nursing students. So if they ever graduated and went and got a job, they would already know what to do. They would already be comfortable. So that is one of the reasons I think becoming a PCA or a patient care assistant is very important before becoming a nurse. You also learn a little bit about medications. You learn a little bit about how the nurses and the doctors interact with each other. You learn a little bit about how the family interact with the nurses. You get to interact with the patients and their family. And you just get to see a little bit of everything. So if you have the opportunity to get a job as a patient care assistant, I would say go ahead and do it. But if you don't, it's not a deal breaker. That is why you have clinicals, and that is why you have skills lab at school. So go ahead and make use of those opportunities and learn as much as you can. But if you have the opportunity to become a patient care assistant, then I would say go ahead and get a job and learn. So that is it for this video, guys. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you haven't already subscribed to the channel, please go ahead and hit the subscribe button down below. And if you like the video, please go ahead and give it a big thumbs up. And also, don't forget to hit the bell notification button so you'll never miss another video from me again. Thank you guys so much for helping me hit 20K subscribers. I love you guys. I'm gonna try my best to keep these videos coming so that you guys can get all the information that you need. If you have any questions or any comments for me, please go ahead and leave them down below. I love it when you guys help each other out because I don't have the answer to everything, but there are a lot of you guys out there who know a lot more than I do. So I really appreciate when you guys interact with each other in the comment section. That means a lot to me. Thank you guys again so much, and I'll see you guys in my next one. Bye.